Hello, this is your wisest astrologer, and we've got two things going on this week. For most of this week, we've got a T-square going on. Not to be confused with the up yours gesture that Mars in Gemini is fond of. So that is right, you heard me correctly. Mars in Gemini right now is in a T-square with Mercury in Virgo, which is also being ruled by, and also with Neptune in Pisces. And the old school wise ass, Mr. T, says, "Pity the fool that spits into the wind of the T-square with Mars and Gemini is at the apex of the T-square." And we also have Mercury entering Libra next Monday night on October 10th at 7:51 p.m. Eastern Time in the US. But until then, with the current Virgo Mercury, which went direct last week, we are mastering what we have been working on, which will allow us to move forward with our ducks in a row and our schmucks in tow, no matter how many different directions we find ourselves going in. The sky is putting things in order this week, and while the themes are not as dynamic as they will be next week, it's important to clean things up a bit as we set the stage for the weeks to come. So let's break down how to handle this powerful Virgo Mercury, Gemini Mars square that we have going on for most of this week. It might be hard to handle, to quote Otis Redding and the Black Crows, but when we analyze the way in which we make connections, we will see a pattern in our analytical process, and things will be easier to accept. So don't stress out about why you're not making connections with the right things or the right people, but rather analyze the connections you are making and sort through them to see what passes the eye test. When we see patterns, we can and will learn to identify things early on before they progress towards something we might find overwhelming. Or we understand what started the descent into our own personal madness we call our existence. You know, what got the ball rolling with that. And we'll be able to accept we've been confused, and that's okay because we're analyzing our patterns so we can learn to identify things early on. Instead of connecting with anything and everything just to deal with anxiety, when we take the time to sort through things that we found too difficult to deal with previously, we will find there's new ways of doing things, and if we can adapt to these new ways, it will make our chores much easier. We might be picky and choosy with our hands right now, and if that leads to a slip-up or a gaffe or a faux pas, just adapt and be quick to accept whatever image you might have accidentally projected, and things will be cool. So, say you've got some Virgo energy going on in your birth chart, and say you are being really picky on a quote-unquote dating app, and with the picky Mercury and Virgo sensibilities in the sky right now, you meant to swipe left in disapproval, but instead you ended up swiping right, with those active Mars and Gemini hands that the sky is rocking until March. So a connection ensues, and now with Neptune and Pisces at the other end of the T-square, maybe if you accept the illusion that you are giving approval, that you likey what you see, who knows? Maybe it will work out. Maybe you'll end up hooking up. Or maybe we might give the wrong impression with hand gestures that might represent something positive in your native country, but may be offensive in another country. Because with the Sun and Venus in Libra right now, God forbid we be offensive. So if this happens, just laugh and accept the image of you being a confused American or a confused whatever nationality you are that Americans are completely ignorant about. But like I said in my previous video, with the current Jupiter and Aries opposing Venus in Libra, it's good to know what hand gestures and signals might be offensive ahead of time. Like the thumbs up in certain countries, or the A-OK gesture, which might not be A-OK in certain parts of Brazil. This will be very important next Tuesday. So be sure to write letters and let me know if the hand gestures that I'm using for a T-square is offensive in any way at all. So with Mercury in Virgo, it's all about improvement. Let's look at some examples of the Mercury in Virgo squaring and ruling Mars and Gemini as they try to progress into a positive direction towards Jupiter and Aries. Alcohol for stress, cigarettes or vaping for fidgeting, in that order, in an attempt to move the brain forward with Jupiter and Aries. Not the best solution. Greasy and spicy finger food appetizers. That's something Mars and Gemini likes, but also not the best solution. Arranging hors d'oeuvres so they're perfectly captivating to the eye, sprinkling some nuts, raisin, oats, and granola on top of a yogurt or salad. Not a bad idea. Stealing popcorn out of a stranger's cup at a movie theater. What? Anyway, the moon is organized today, Wednesday, October 5th, as it sits with Saturn in Aquarius, its ruler today. And it also flows nicely with the energy from Mars in Gemini. On Thursday, October 6th, the moon goes into Pisces at 8:47 a.m. Eastern Time. And on Friday night, October 7th, and the early morning hours of Saturday, October 8th, it will be conjunct the Neptune in Pisces end of the T-square and absorbing all kinds of emotional crap from all directions before entering Aries shortly before noon on Saturday and conjuncting Jupiter. So you might be eager to make plans to go out on Saturday night and give direction to new things and meet new people, but hydrate with fluids so you can stay light on your feet and not be too dizzy or hungover the next morning as the full moon goes into swing. Tempo, tempo. The moon enters Taurus at 5:03 p.m. Eastern Time Monday night, and then Mercury enters Libra at 7:51 p.m. Eastern Time Monday night. Be aware of things coming into harmony. Sure, you're going to want to bask in that harmony Tuesday night, October 11th, as the moon conjuncts Uranus and Taurus, and it will be under that Venus and Libra influence. But all the superficial rules that you've wanted to ignore with the Aquarius-Saturn, Taurus-Uranus square, all those superficial rules, well, that structure is going to be useful in bringing things into balance with the Saturn and Venus trine. That structure is going to be of value as it locks you into your groove feeling, even if that structure might not feel organic or feels impersonal. So to recap, we are picking out the weeds in order to see a more direct picture, so we can try to learn about where we are going. If we tend to things, we won't be overwhelmed by a jumble of confusion. And now that we are aware of what to do, we can sort through things and pick out winners going forward. And again, beginning October 10th, next Monday night, don't give the middle finger or up your sign to anybody, even if you know right away that they're a jackass. And if you do give them the middle finger, balance that out by giving whatever trendy Gemini heart sign that teenage girls are currently using. I don't know, since I'm not a teenage girl, nor do I have any planets in trendy Gemini. Just because I know my astrology does not mean I'm a teenage girl. But I am a Beatles fan, and they were loved by many teenage girls back in their day. And as everybody knows, it's John Lennon's birthday on Sunday, October 9th. He would have been 82. So if you're overwhelmed by the world and overwhelmed by astrology, just listen to the Beatles and celebrate John Lennon's birthday, which really is almost an unofficial universal holiday. So peace, love, stars, and listen to the Beatles. Or listen to whatever music I compose for this video.